So what about lighting?
Yeah, of course. So, many people have taken their trays and set them on the windowsill,
Right.
and most people end up being disappointed with that.
Yeah, it's just not enough light.
Or the plants end up being disappointed,
Yeah.
and you don't realize it. What often happens is they'll germinate and they'll just try to get to the light, and they'll stretch, and you end up with these tall, lanky seedlings.
Yeah.
And some people plant those, but often that will lead to a sick plant or one that's too tall and spindly, and then it falls over under its
It
own
just
weight.
doesn't ever.
It doesn't, and maybe you could plant it deeper, but then more connection or more contact with the soil on that little stem ends up leading to maybe more disease. So. Good, sturdy transplants are the way to go, and the most tried and true way to do that is to get some grow lights.
Okay.
So we've got a grow light set up right over here, and you'll notice right off the bat that this light is really low, and that I have to snake that thing under there.
Right.
It's important to have these lights when the plants are very young, as close to the tray as possible.
Okay.
If you wait for them to come up for you to start seeing them, it's too late, because they're already going to be stretching towards that light. And with a shop light, which a lot of people are using, just an old shop light, T12 lights, these things are not bright enough they're brighter than being on the windowsill, but they're not bright enough unless they are right down low.
So they just need to be almost touching the plants.
Exactly.
Right.
They're not like a hot incandescent light that's going to burn.
So there's no concerns there.
But these shop lights need to be right there, and then as your plants grow, you raise them up. And this is a kind of a nice setup, because it just, you raise it up, and there's
That's really handy.
It just like, you can put it
But
down.
a normal shop light, sometimes people have them on chains, and you can do it with hooks and
little
chains.
hooks on the chains.
I mean, there's all
exactly.
sorts of ways to do it. But this is convenient, this setup.
I went to the local hydroponic grow shop, and they have a lot of supplies for these, and they have these little clip-on things that are ratchet, that you can just raise them over. Also, this aftermarket. You don't need this whole thing.
Right. Okay. Because you can do that just on your whatever shelf.
Right.
That you have.
And I'm using a baker's rack, one of those wire rack ones. I've got about this much space between my shelves, so that I can, because when I'm watering and working in these things, I lift it up, space. I do the work, I put it back down.
It's convenient.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
So this is a T12 light, but then you can also get other kinds that are even.
You can, yeah. So the ones I use are a T5, which, even though it's a smaller number, it might seem counterintuitive, but it's a much more intense light. Also counterintuitive, it's a much smaller diameter. It's like the diameter of the light is like my index finger.
So it's really.
But they're much more intense, and it's a bank of 8 lights that fit across the whole tray here.
Okay.
So the other thing that I would caution is that you want lights to they don't spread out very much. So for this whole tray here, if we were to have this whole thing planted, you would need more than just these 2 bulbs on this fixture. This would be good for this little guy right here, but the ones out here would stretch towards that light.
There's no, is that called the halo, or is it called something like that?
There is a term, but I
there's
don't know
it doesn't go out. It's just whatever is directly beneath the light is what it is helping.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know too.
Yeah. So so this is great for this, and I've got it all watered in, and this right here would be good for germination. This is a dome that goes over the top and would keep the humidity.
You'd seal
Trust
it up.
me, it fits.
Right. You'd seal it up over there.
Yep.
Right.
And that keeps you from having to babysit it and keep watering it until it germinates. Once it germinates, depending on the crop, you could take this off or leave it on.
Okay.
But
always before the plant gets to the top of the dome.
Before that, you'd take that off. Yeah, it's really just to keep it nice and moist for germination.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I'll
take
to
that.
you. And then you would just continue as the plant grows, raise it up, water it. I usually water, I check every morning. And I have a fan, one of those clip-on fans, to blow across, because that helps both with keeping it from being waterlogged, and also when a plant feels that wind on it, it will become stronger and more stocky.
So it helps it helps harden the seedlings off to go outside where
Exactly.
they'll be experiencing those conditions.
Yep. So having that light right low keeps your plant short and stocky, which is actually what you want.
Yeah, so short and stocky, and then also strong because of the fan. So you don't have it on a very high setting, I'm assuming,
No,
though.
no.
Just like the lowest setting almost.
Exactly.
But it's just enough of, and it doesn't dry things out too much.
No, it doesn't. We last year we had a box fan, which is a lot bigger,
Yeah.
and that did not dry things out too much. We watered
Interesting.
every morning. You know, we with our I neglected to mention this is just a bigger water catchment thing and we can fit 4 trays side by side in here and bottom water that way as well, like we were talking with this. And
So
sorry,
this
go
is
ahead.
this tray right here holds 4, or this bigger tray holds 4 of these types of trays.
Yes, the ones
And-
that are the 1020s.
Right, the 1020s. And so this is what you have going at any one time. You would have just this one tray with 4 of these in it. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And backing up, there's one more thing that I neglected to say about lights, and that is this other type of fixture, which is LED. You know, the price is coming down a lot on these things, and they last a lot longer lifespan than the fluorescent bulbs do. And so this is an all-in-one system right here that you can just plug in, and is going to have a good spectrum, is going to have good intensity for these plants also. And LEDs are not hot typically, like an incandescent, so more like a fluorescent.
So are all seed starting LED lights the same, or
No.
there's a lot of different ratings on them?
There are, and it's I'm not the expert at that to go into it, but I would it's going to be better than a windowsill.
Right.
Pretty
Gotcha.
much.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Great.
And one last thing is they make these sort of halfway in between. It's a LED bulb that fits into a fluorescent fixture.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that's somewhere in between that you could do.
Right.
And one might be asking, how long do I have my light on?
Right.
And I have mine on for 16 hours a day.
Okay.
Some people go with 12, but I think 16's better. And so you just plug your light into the timer.
timer.
Yep. And I usually mine are in my basement, and it's colder in the basement. The lights do give off some warmth, and so I usually set it to start at 2 a.m. Coldest part of the
Okay,
of the night.
try to heat it up a little bit.
Exactly. So
Okay.
and then they're on for 4 hours there till 6 a.m. and then they're off in the evening. So yeah,
Okay.
a timer's a good cheap thing to add on to.
So
there.
that's helpful, and then you don't have to keep. I mean,
Turning
you
off
check
and on,
check
yeah.
them every day anyway for
I
water,
do.
but it's just the more you can automate,
Exactly.
the easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
And then one last thing that I add in here, and it's hiding underneath, is a heat mat. And this is a big one here, but they make them smaller as well for
Yeah.
just a single tray.
Yeah.
But this is really another thing that is really essential, especially if you're in a cooler place. It warms the soil to 75, 80 degrees. They make them with thermostats so that
So you
it's
can set
not
it.
baking your
Right.
poor little crops. But I find that when I'm first starting my lettuces, even those cool season crops will benefit and come up much more reliably with higher percentage of germination
Oh,
if
okay.
I've got it set there. But this is essential really for the tomatoes and peppers and things that we love
All
to
the warm
the things
season
we
stuff.
love to grow, right?
So so do you use that on everything then, pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah.
And
once-
just only when it's germinating, right?
Yeah.
Once you see green,
yes.
turn it off.
Yeah, that's the essential. For me, with 4 trays that are going like all at different times, where I've got this one starting, but these ones older,
Oh, right.
they all end up being on that,
Yeah.
and I've got the big mat. But if you had just one small mat, you could rotate it around.
True,
Exactly.
okay,
You don't
all
need
right.
it to be the big mat.